Good afternoon. Let me first say congratulations, graduates. This is a huge day in your lives, and I'm truly honored to be with you this afternoon. I haven't been back to Milledgeville in over 20 years. The change is remarkable, and I feel so proud to have my son Lucas, who's 11 years old, with me, and to show him this campus and share with him a bit of the history here. There is great history here. And now you're part of that history. As I reflected on what I wanted to say to you today, a list of names just came flooding to my mind. Brandon, Vicky, Noah, Wesley, Elizabeth, Pearson, Gavin, Shalia, Justin, James, Johnny, Sarah, Alex. When I sat in your seat, I never dreamed what would happen in my life to this point. That I would care for hundreds of children with brain tumors and have the opportunity to celebrate many of their achievements, graduations, marriages, but also sit at the bedside of well over 150 children as they've died. They have taught me in very tangible ways many things, some painful things, but many times very joyful things. But the important thing they've taught me is that life matters. The way you live your life, it matters. We all have an impact on the world, and of this we should never lose sight. There are so many in my memory. I remember every face. I remember every body. I remember their families, and I remember their stories. Their stories are part of my story now. Each of you is living your own unique story, and you're just about to turn the page. Consider your story, your history. Take time to reflect on how you got here today. You didn't get here alone. Look out at your families, your friends, and those who have helped you get here and say thank you. And I think right now you really should say thank you. I am the eldest of 4 children. My parents are both school teachers. My mother taught elementary school and went back to school in her 50s to get her master's degree to become a counselor. My father was a history teacher and a football coach. I came to Georgia College in 1988. And by the way, then we were called the Colonials and our colors were brown and gold. That was bad. I'm really, really, really glad to see that that has changed. I came because my dream was to play college basketball and to study music, and I got scholarships, and it allowed me to do both of those things. At that time, I thought I would grow up and become a teacher and a coach, hopefully a mom, and of course, I would also teach piano lessons on the side. During my first semester, I took anatomy and physiology, and your very own Dr. Salandin, who I had the opportunity to spend a little time with this afternoon, he took me aside one day, and he asked me if I ever thought about going to medical school, and I said, "No, sir." And he said, "Well, I think you should think about it." Well, I'm a decision maker, so without too much pondering, I decided, that's a good plan. I announced this to my parents and to my coach. They all seemed a bit surprised at this. I don't think any of them thought I was terribly bright. But I had made up my mind. So I did all the things that one has to do to make that happen. But I failed to get accepted to medical school the first time. I was really disappointed. I didn't know what I would do because this had now become my dream. But I was able to get a job in a cancer research lab over at the medical college, and I reapplied. And this time I got in. While I was there, I met a man named Dr. Baisden. He was my supervisor. And among many of our conversations, he shared with me how I would make a decision about what I would do next, what specialty I would choose. And he said, when you meet the people you want to be like, that's what you'll do. And he was absolutely right. During medical school, I was inspired by a lecturer. I fell in love with my very first patient, who was a woman who had developed leukemia because of treatment of her prior breast cancer. But then I found my heart in pediatric oncology. I moved to Colorado, where I did my pediatric residency and fellowships in both hematology oncology and then in neuro-oncology. I can vividly remember taking care of a little baby who had come in and had a terrible bleed in her brain from a brain tumor. I didn't even know that babies got brain tumors. There I met a man named Dr. Foreman. He became my mentor and my friend. He inspired me as he spent time with me teaching me about brain tumors. And I was so fascinated that the understanding of brain tumors was decades behind what was understood about leukemia and lymphoma. And I was drawn to participate in a field that was just on the precipice of discovery. This has been a very exciting career path for me. What I want to say to you today, however, is I don't know what your story is going to be, but live your story. Many of you have already faced significant challenges in your life. Some of you not so much, but they will come. They'll continue to come, but don't give up. Face them, embrace them, even be grateful for them. I would like to share three brief stories with you. This week, I sat across from a young woman who's a patient of mine. She graduated from the University of Florida a week ago. I met her when she was 14 years old. She came to the hospital because she could no longer walk. She was crawling on the floor. She was found to have a large spinal cord tumor and several other tumors throughout her central nervous system. She had a syndrome that she didn't know she had. You could only see it on the inside of her body and not on the outside. She had major surgery. She learned to walk again. And over the years, she's become progressively deaf. But she's beautiful. She's amazing. She lives independently on her college campus. She's traveled all over the world. She comes and gets her medicine every 2 weeks in our clinic. And she shared with me this week that she's going to become a teacher for the deaf. Jet, he was adopted from birth. His birth mother was a young unwed mother. His parents were young attorneys who had been married and trying to have a baby and couldn't have one. They adopted him. When he was 17 months old, he was diagnosed with a malignant brain tumor. Today, he's 9 years old. He's in the 3rd grade. He's a Cub Scout. He's a great student. He loves math. He loves science. He loves fishing. He plays soccer. His parents have started a foundation to raise money for pediatric cancer research. They've done this because they want to give him his history. His history, his story that he can't remember. It counts. It matters. There are many people sitting in this room who have given you your history. Noah, he was diagnosed at age 6 with a malignant brain tumor and died at age 9. I remember his mother saying to me, "I don't know why this has happened and I hate it, but I know this is our story." We all fought hard to try to cure him, but that was not to be. His mother now raises millions of dollars to support pediatric brain cancer in Noah's honor and his memory. She's taken his story, their family's story, and is changing the stories of many others to come. I don't know what you will do with your lives, but I do know that your life is important. You are important. Your story is important. Our stories, they're linked to each other in ways that we have no idea. They're part of a larger story. Dr. Saladin, he had no idea that the comments he made changed the trajectory of my whole life. Look at your life. Don't let it roll by. Love the people that you've been given to love, because you don't know how long you'll have them to love. Make your life count. Each of you are unique. Ask yourself, what's your passion? What are your gifts? Everyone has some. Use them. Use them for good. Search the world for truth, because truth matters. Be authentic about who you are, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. Those around you, we need your authenticity. There is not a single other human being anywhere on the planet, none who has come before you and none who will come after you, who is uniquely you. You have an important job to do, and only you can do it. Your history has prepared you. Make your own history now by living intentionally, relationally, passionately, with integrity. If each of you do this, you have a great future, and you may change the future of everyone. The future for me, the future for my son, the future for your families, the future for your sons and daughters to come. Now it's time to turn the page. Congratulations.